Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we're going to work on something a little bit different. Not per se as far as something to make, but a different kit than I normally work on. And that is my Found Objects Challenge kit from Thunderhorse Descendant. Now, Randy Brown started this Found Objects Challenge a little over a year ago. We were on her morning coffee, we were reading The Alchemy of Found Objects. And she came up, well, the whole group actually came up with the idea of doing a challenge with found objects. So Randy puts together these packages. I think they cost us $6.30 now. They used to cost $5.20 when we first started, but she's adding a little more newer beads in here, as well as her found objects. So this month it was $6.30. But you get quite a bit of things, and they're all different. You don't get the same, and you won't know what you get until you've ordered it and it gets to your house. And then you take the found objects that are in the bag and you make something from them. So we're going to turn down, and I think we're going to make a necklace today out of our found objects bag. I have two. We're just going to use this one today though. So let's turn down. Now the premise of our found objects thing is we have to use something out of the bag. We don't have to use everything out of the bag. We don't have to only use the items in the bag, but we do have to use something from our bag. And we have about a month to work on it, and then we turn them in, and we have a ducky race. Everybody who turns in photos of their item, you first send a photo of what you got in your box, and then you add things, and then you make your item and then send photos of what you've made. You can make one item, you can make multiple items, whatever you feel the need to do. And then after the month is out, Randy gathers all of the names of the people that have done made something, and it doesn't have to be jewelry, it can be anything. And she gathers the names, and then we have a ducky race. Everybody is assigned a duck, and so of course it's a random, whoever wins the duckies who's assigned to you wins the race. You win the object. I won the August one. She gives you a book, a new entry, and $50 worth of beads. I won a strand of Larimar and a strand of crystals when I won it the last time, so that was a pretty nice prize. Now anyway, what we've got in our package here is some charms, which we're not going to use these. I might use those on something different later. We've got some seed beads, looks like number 6s. We've got some agates. We've got some tiny little shell bead squares. Those two are a little different. And then we have some beautiful crystal here. Now I have added out of my stash, because I think we need a focal, I got this really cool ring, which is a Vintaj patinaed ring, and well, that crystal place that will not be named, barbell, and I've got some gold saucer spacers. So the first thing we're going to need to do, of course, is make this pendant, and I may use these little round, put one of these on either side, and maybe the small and the large, and then hang this down like so. So we'll need some wire to do that, and we'll get that out in just a moment. But then I'm thinking I'm going to then also take our, I'm not sure I'm going to use the shell or not. I'm going to take our agates and our crystals, and some of our seed beads and make a pattern with those up the edges, and use some of the spacers as well. Like I said, you can add from your stash, no problem, and that's what I am going to do here, is obviously, because these are all from my stash, well, except for those 2 agates. Those were in the package. And let's see what we can do here. So I'm going to get some wire out so we can make this focal here, and I'll be right back. So I have got some gold German style 20 gauge wire, and I'm going to need a little, I'm not sure how much I'm going to need, so I'm just going to cut a good size hunk of this off. This is probably about 1 foot. And the first thing I'm going to want to do is make a wrap for our Vintaj piece here. So I think what I'm going to do is take my, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take my smaller bell making pliers, and we're gonna wrap up and around like so to make a little loop here. We'll slide that on there. Now I want this to have some movement, but at the same time I'm thinking I would probably like to have more than one loop here. So let's see if I can make that work out. We're going to have to put her through here. Don't like the looks of that though. It's not really what I wanted it to do. No, I don't care for that. So we'll bring this back out again. And maybe instead of doing that, what we'll do to bring this into the rest is open these seed beads up. Dump some of them out here. And maybe what we'll do is make a seed bead holder here. Well, some of these aren't seed beads, they're little round beads. How cool. Anyway, so we're gonna just make a seed bead wrap right here across the front. Oh yeah, that's better. So then we'll just take this and we'll bring this around and wrap her up. I think that's good, so we'll just cut that extra wire off there and tuck it in. There we go. And we'll put our pieces up here on our beads up onto our edge here. So we'll go with this big one. Well, maybe we will. Sometimes when they drill out gemstones, they go one from one side and then from the other side, and the hole is sometimes not straight. So I'm going to have to see if I can get it to go all the way through here. I can see it down in there, but it doesn't want to come through. So let's see if we can get our bead reamer out and see if we can find its proper direction here without breaking it. Now see, I can see the tip of my bead reamer coming through right here. So maybe we've got it good enough. Let's see if we do. There we go. Now she's a little tight, so she may mar the wire a little bit, hopefully not too much. So there we go with that piece. Then we'll put the little spacer on, the barbell. That barbell cool. The other spacer and the other. And it looks like this one may have the same problem with having been drilled sort of sideways. As you can see, you can see it up in there. It's right there at the very edge. It wants to go slightly curved. So we'll get the reamer back out again and see if we can get this little edge off just a hair's breadth so that it can go, the wire can go in. So you can see it's crooked right there. Now when you're reaming, you'll probably should have some water. I don't have any with me right here, but you'll find that it gets warm. Your bead gets really warm when you're reaming it. There we go. And there we go. There is our pendant, more or less finished. So now we've got to make the loop up at the top. What I'm going to do is get my bell making pliers out again, and we're going to use this one right here. So we're just going to bend her over some, then we'll bring her up and around to this bigger piece, and I am going to bring it around a couple of times. And then instead of doing a regular wrap, what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it come off. I know I put more than one on you, but and then we're going to go down the line and wrap these beads up some more. So we'll just sort of twist it around this bead, come up and around down here, up and around, go around here, and since we have plenty of wire, we're going to crisscross and come back up. So then we'll come up here, go around, and come back up and around, and then we're going to wrap around here a couple times. cut this little bit of extra off and tuck it in. Now, because I want this a little tighter, I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to squish these wires together some so that it comes around this bead a little bit more, like so. And there's our pendant all made. Now I've got this a little crooked down at the bottom, so we'll straighten that up. And now if you want, you can take and spread these upper wires a little bit. Now I used 3 instead of 2. If you use 2, that is locally known as a rabbit's ear. I used 3, so not quite a rabbit's ear. So anyway, there's our little pendant all done, and now we need to start make a pattern and start thinking about stringing our necklace. Now wire's pretty easy to work with. If you feel you've got things a little bit crooked, just take hold of it and move it around. So there we go for our pendant, and now we will put this aside for right now, and we're going to break open our beads and see what we can do about making a pattern for the necklace itself. So we will cut these open. Aren't these beautiful crystals? I really love crystals. And we'll dump these out here. Now, because we only have one 8-inch strand of crystals and just 6 of our agates, we are going to use a lot of our little seed bead as filler. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll put a couple of seed beads down, or these little seed beads down across the bottom. And I have to decide how many I want to use. I'm thinking maybe 7 as our amount between our, because 7 is a good number. Then we will put in a spacer on either side. And I think an agate. And I'm going to use this one in these more patterned ones in the bottom, I think, because I think they're really cool, and I want to sort of how do I want to put it? Focus on those. So then we're going to put a couple of more of these in. And then a crystal, well, a spacer and then a crystal. A spacer. And then I think we'll just keep on more or less doing this pattern with the agate. Now, frankly, we have a lot more crystal and not many more agates, so maybe what we want to do is put some more crystal in between, because we only are going to, if we do it this way, we only have 2 more agates left, and then that's not going to be a very long length. So what I'm thinking is maybe Maybe we'll just do that and just put 3 crystals in the center here, then to our agate. Well, let's get out some stringing wire and we'll see how that's going to work. I like this side over here. I think this is going to work all right. And yeah, I'll just get out. I'm going to go get some beading wire now. So I have got some white quartz Softflex beading wire. This is the medium size. And I'm just going to pull out a length of this. And since I'm not sure how long I want to make this necklace, I'm just going to work right off the spool. So when I do that, I just pull a length out. And then we will just start stringing from here. Which we know is going to be 3 of these little guys. One of our gold India saucers, our agate, and then we're just going to go down the line here, and then we'll go on the other side and we'll see how long that ends up being. And if we need the length, of course, we'll cut the some more wire and put the other side up with the same pattern here. And we probably will. I'm not sure how long I want to make this necklace. It's going to be, I think, a minimum of 20 inches, and maybe I might want it about 24. We'll have to see. Now, if I don't string anything more on this other side, this bead would be my halfway point. And as you can see, that's only 6 inches. So we will be adding this pattern back up the other side, at least, until we get to the agate. But we'll just keep going right now until we get to that point. We'll see exactly how long it is, and then I'll decide how much wire I want to cut off. Now that we've got these beads in, it's time for our focal. So we slide him right on there. Now, as you can see, he can move around on those beads, but not past our agate. So even though I only have the 1 bead in here, we are going to do this same pattern on this side. So we'll just keep beading until we get to the other agate. Now you see I followed this, put this pattern right here up in this, what I put here, which is on down here on our pendant part. Now I'm going to verify where I'm at here. Come on, babies, go through there so that you're where you should be. And we are right here, about to put our next agate piece on. And then our next 3 little beads and our other saucer. Come on, babies. Had a bit of a problem finding the little hole in that one. Okay, now this puts us at the middle here. And we'll want to measure this now to see how much longer we need. And this is 12 inches. We need at least, let's face it, at least another 6. So what we're going to do is I am going to go up this one side with our pattern again. And then we're going to see how long that leaves us and if I need to do something more of this other side. But that will let us know how much more wire we need to cut off on that side. So let's get started on our pattern. So we need our crystal first. This crystal looks like it's been damaged, so we'll set it aside. If we need that one, we will put it in the back where it won't show. It is not damaged to the point where it's sharp. It's almost like, it almost feels like it was accidentally cut off there. See how it's got there's no sharp edges on it. It's just got one of its facets shelved off from the looks of it. Looks like we need one more set of the crystal and beads. Three. And now we're ready for the next agate. And another little set of little beads, and then we will measure, see where we're at. Okay, let's see our length. On this side is, okay, now we have reached, I need this and I'm going to get it out of my way. Our bead strand is now about not quite 22 inches. I'm debating if I want to put a whole strand of this up the back like we did here on this section. I'm going to see where this hangs on me as it sits here, and we'll see what I decide to do. I have decided I wish it to be a little bit longer, so we are going to do the crystal pattern up this section here, and then we'll see how long it is and go from there. So next is a crystal, and you'll notice I got a few more of my Indian saucers out. And now this will be probably where we end it. So let's see how long it will be with that piece in. I think we're probably going to be close to 24. Oh, even a little bit longer than that, because that's 12. So it's going to be about 25. And I think that's a pretty good length. But I will look at it again, see what I think, and if so, we will cut the wire and start the other side. Yes, I'm going to like that length, so we will cut this other side of the wire so that it is approximately the same length as the wire that's already out here. So, since this is 25 inches as far as the let's make sure I get that about right. I don't want too little. Okay, that should do about right there. Okay, for those of you who are wondering, this ends up being 12, 18, about a little over 30 inches of wire. So now let's go up this other side exactly the same as this side, and then we can clasp it. Isn't this going to be pretty? So here we go. Want the crystal, spacer, 3 of our beads, spacer, crystal, spacer, and then 3 more small beads and on up the line just like that. This crystal is another one with weird, see, it's been ground down almost like a flat rondelle, so we'll put that one aside as well. Okay, that's our 3 crystals. And now we'll put on our agate. Compare, make sure everything's looking good. And it is. So now we will do our final set of the 3 crystals here. Obviously, since this is a special set of beads that not everyone will have, you can't really make this set with me. And this saucer's a little thicker than normal, so we'll set it this side as well. But you could use any beads that were similar and make something quite similar to this piece. Okay, I'm going to clamp this off while I go get a few more spacers, and I will be right back with you. Okay, I've got my spacers here, so we'll get back to this. And actually, we're almost done here. Okay, let's do our comparison to make sure we're looking the same from side to side. We have our agates, our crystals, our little beads, all the way up to here. And yep, that's it. Now it's time to get a clasp and put on this baby. Isn't it pretty? I think I really like it. And I'll put the rest of these things up so they don't get lost. Okay, so I've gotten a couple of little beads to put on the end, 2 more of the little beads to put on the end here because, like I say, the crimp tube will fall into that spacer. So then we're going to put the crimp tube on and then a jump ring. Now this jump ring is going to be to hold our crimp, not our crimp, our clasp. And in case you're wondering, I will probably use a magnetic clasp, so we'll just open that baby up to close it. Now I use the magical crimpers. If you notice, there's a divot in our crimpers here, and you just put that crimper the crimp tube right in the middle of that, and then squish down, and then turn it and squish again, and keep squishing, going around in a circle and squishing until it won't squish down anymore. And by that time you should have a cute little bead made out of your tube. And should hold, yep, that's very tight. So now we'll just move this up, cut this extra piece of wire off, and let us roll down to the other side here. Now, as I'm crimping it, you'll notice I have it all wound up, and that's so that it doesn't get too tight. If it gets too tight, it's very stiff, doesn't fit very well. Well, it'll fit fine. It's just that, like I say, it's very stiff, and it doesn't have a good drape. So we'll just do this exact same thing on this side with the crimp tube in, come back in through, feed it through some beads. Now you'll find this side is a little bit, and I'm glad I looked. Look at there. There's no spacer right there. So we need to get a new spacer out and fix that. So we'll drop those off. Make sure there's no other places that I've missed my spacer bead. Nope, everybody else is in place but that one. So let's get a new spacer and we'll fix that. There's another spacer. So onto you. 3 little beads back on. And the really sad part about missing that spacer bead was that we checked and I didn't see anything wrong. So just goes to show, check and double check. So back on with our crimp and our jump ring, and then through the crimp and some beads. Okay, now we want to tighten this up, bring this down, tighten her again, and make sure you've got it how you want it. Oh, and there is our other, I guess it fell out. Isn't that funny? Okay, so I think we're pretty good here. Let's see our comparison to our loops. This loop is a tiny bit bigger, so we'll pull her down just a bit. And now we have to get our crimps in there on that crimp tube and squish. And then turn and squish them more. As I say, once it stops squishing on you, and I think I have reached that point, give it a tug test, feels good, and then we'll cut the extra wire off. Now, as you can see, I have a bit of space here, and if you don't like your little bit of space, and inevitably you'll have a little bit, you can always put a crimp cover on that, over your crimp tube to cover that up. Since it's generally only a little bit of space, it doesn't generally bother me a lot. So the next step, of course, is to decide what kind of clasp we want on it. And I will probably use a magnetic clasp. I like them. The ones I have are quite strong, and they're easy for everybody to wear. As soon as you get them close to each other, they'll come together and clasp. Though I do warn people not to get your hair stuck in between them, because number one, it pulls, it hurts. And number two, it will break the plane of your magnet a little bit, making it weaken up some. So let me go find a clasp and we'll get that on. So I've got us a magnetic clasp, and I will tell you these are pretty spendy, but that's all right. They're well worth it because they're very strong. You actually have to push them sort of sideways so that their plane has been broken to get them to even open up. So there we go. So we'll open up our oval jump rings and we'll put this magnetic clasp on. Now I like an oval jump ring because it has the break on the side. Let me show you how that is. Can you see that break right there? It's right here. And then when gravity pulls on your pieces, they go into the short side where the groove is, and you don't have the chance of losing your necklace or earring part or whatever through that groove. And trust me, I have had that happen to me before. When I used round jump rings, I lost half an earring in the Salt Lake City airport. Of course, never found it again. Luckily, I had made that pair of earrings, so I had the pieces to make a replacement part. But still no fun to lose half of your earring. So there's half. Now, I know probably most of my folks watching have opened jump rings before, but if you haven't, take it on either side of the break and then give it a twisting motion. Don't pull it apart. It will be almost impossible to get it back into place. And this magnet really likes your pliers, so it will fight you a little bit getting them on, but not too horrible. Now I think I heard the click, and there we go. Our necklace is finished. Isn't that pretty? I hope you enjoyed making this with me. And this has been using my Thunderhorse Descendant Found Objects challenge bag. So, as I said, from the bag, the agates, everything up here except for the spacers, the magnet clasp, and then I got the barbell, and this is a Vintaj piece here at the bottom. So aren't those fun? I hope you enjoyed making this with me. So anyway, folks, this has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and as I say, we've been using our Found Objects challenge bag from Thunderhorse Descendant. And this is our beautiful little necklace we made, and we used white Softflex medium to string that on. And then, of course, the wire here was Bead gold German style wire. So I think this really turned out pretty. I really like it. I hope you guys like it as well. It is up, like I say, about 25 inches. Maybe 26 now that I put the clasp on. And then, of course, the pendant is not included in that measurement. There we go again. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.